After successfully holding a seminar on fraud management and control in Nairobi, in August 2021, the Kenya Institute of Bankers moved quickly to Cybersecurity Month 2021 in October, where the professional umbrella organization for bankers in Kenya sought to tackle cybersecurity threats as a matter of grave concern to the entire financial sector at large. This comes in the wake of various reports in the financial sector of cyber attacks and fraudulent activities in which banks have either lost money or were on the verge of losing resources before steps were taken to foil such attempts. The Institute partnered with Dimension Data, who are global leaders in technology and matters cybersecurity, to provide vital training to the banking sector to equip stakeholders with the tools and high-tech resources needed to successfully fight modern-day cybersecurity threats. The two organizations planned and executed a high-level breakfast for senior executives in the banking sector. The event took place at the Serena Hotel in Nairobi on October 13, 2021. In this report, we bring you highlights of the breakfast event, which later on in the month will culminate into a major cybersecurity conference in Naivasha on October 28 to 29 at the Lake Naivasha Resort. The conference will feature participants drawn from various financial institutions in the country who will be trained effectively on how to combat modern cybersecurity threats.
We started this journey, broadly speaking, on fraud management and cybersecurity about 2 months ago when we hosted an open program targeting banks, essentially, here in Nairobi. So our main responsibility is training and certification of bankers. And membership as well plays a very, very important role. But then allow me to mention one thing that comes top of mind when you're talking about cybersecurity. There's been a lot of initiatives which are done bespoke within individual financial institutions, banking specific. And I think for us is to perhaps move away from that commercial self-interest and aim to tackle these things by ourselves. Because at the end of the day, I look at cybersecurity and cybercrime as something that for us to effectively manage calls for a systemic approach. Okay, so for our members, having that proper banking ethics is a key area to start. Because as you'd imagine, some of these aspects, as far as cybersecurity is concerned, there's a lot of insider collaboration being done. So having bankers who stand for something, who are ethical, is an important element, and it's an area that we absolutely want to make sure that we push.
As the Kenya Institute of Bankers Chief Executive Officer Julius Allego reiterated, it is important that the banking sector has the right manpower to ensure the fight against cybersecurity threats is managed effectively. The Dimension Data team was equal to the task and raised pertinent issues in regards to current trends in the cybersecurity space as they made their presentations to the highly expectant audience of senior executives in the banking sector. Richard Hechle, who is the Managing Director Dimension Data East and West Africa, is responsible for integrating and growing Dimension Data's business in these regions. He explained the firm's role for the banking sector in Kenya, and this is what he had to say.
The way we used to work has changed forever. I don't think we will ever go back to what we called normal. But in that process, it also opened up new opportunities for threat actors in our industry to disrupt our businesses. And that's one of the reasons why we are here today, is to make sure that we as Dimension Data remain absolutely relevant to you in the banking sector, to make sure that we can provide resilience and protection across the board. Another thing that is key that you need to know, I think, is that we have a parent company called NTT in Japan, one of the largest companies on the globe, and they spend more than $7 billion a year on R&D, specifically in this space. And NTT a few months ago announced that they want to double their investments and presence here in Africa through Dimension Data. And that's great news for us, and I hope great news for you, that actually we can really leverage the NTT brand and make sure that we have a clear value proposition and a much bigger capacity to offer you all solution.
One of the main presentations of the day was delivered by Dr. Bright Garmali Merwador, who is a cybersecurity engineer and researcher. Dr. Bright is also the head of Managed Cybersecurity Services at Dimension Data. He spoke extensively on a variety of risk issues that are affecting the banking industry. The highlights of his presentation included 1. Cyber threat landscape. 2. Shifting cybersecurity from compliance to risk focus. 3. Risk analysis and application for the financial sector. 4. Senior management and board level questions to ask about cyber resilience and risk. 5. Real-time hacking demonstration of current threats to financial services. 6. Remediation processes to cyber threats, both corporate and personal.
Because if the threat is contained in this room, you know how to look for it. But if somebody's coming from outside or from different entry points, you can't tell where the attacker is going to come from, right? So banks have to know where every asset is, what is it communicating with, what is approved or what is safe, and how can the bank also know the architecture that you have as well. Cybersecurity or cyber resilience that we should be talking about is no longer about your perimeter. That conversation is to change. You can't take as a new normal that you've been breached and it's okay. You have to just live with it. So we have to start thinking about being predictive analysis, or rather being resilient rather than being reactive. So proactivity over what? Reactivity. Thank you. And with that needs you to actually start driving a strategic roadmap when you're looking at your resiliency. So we're not thinking about security anymore, we're thinking about resiliency. So that means you do a strategic discovery, you need to look at your architecture, and you look at what are the control validations you need to put in place to marry all the three of them. So you can have the strategic discovery to know exactly what you want to achieve, but if you don't have the kind of controls to actually put in place, you can't have an actionable roadmap. Nothing can be done instantly, you have to wait, you have to have a process of being able to achieve that. So, areas of concern that we have been looking at as well is how do you manage risks, how do you address cybersecurity related issues to support your online presence, optimizing and securing work from home, preparing to defend against supply chain attacks, increasing threats and vulnerabilities, difficulties in detection and response, which is some of the details I picked from NTT, which brings me to what we call zero trust.
The other very crucial presentation was ably delivered by Mushim Safari, who is a senior consultant handling business continuity and resilience at Dimension Data East and West Africa. She spoke extensively about data protection and IT disaster recovery for financial services continuity. The highlights of her presentation featured the following. 1. IT disaster recovery for financial services continuity. 2. Risk and compliance as a journey towards resilience. 3. Data privacy risks landscape in financial services industry.
So there are two key things that it would be good to have clarity on. You can't talk about cybersecurity without talking about data security. Data security, three different aspects that are crucial to the audience here. Confidentiality of information that we hold on our customers, the integrity in how we interact with that information, and ensuring that it is available but only fit for purpose. So the difference between protection and privacy is very simple. When you talk about data protection, you're talking about how to secure data from unauthorized access by external or internal threat vectors. But when you talk about privacy, privacy now shifts the conversation from technology to legal. And by legal, we're talking about how the people who are authorized to interact with this data conduct themselves around it.
At the end of the day, when all was said and done, the event yielded to the expectations of the participating banking professionals. Dr. Julian Rower, who was the moderator and MC of the day, did a remarkable job to steer the conversation throughout the breakfast. He is the Chief Executive Officer of Shagiles Consulting Limited and carries a wealth of experience from the banking industry and the cybersecurity space at large. Towards the tail end of the breakfast, a few participants reflected on the events of the day as they began gearing for the main conference, which is scheduled to be held in October 28th to 29th at the Lake Naivasha Resort.
My name is Alishaan Merali. I'm the Head of Product Design and Development at Paramount Bank. I really enjoyed this conference. It's very insightful, and I'm looking forward to the one in Naivasha. Hope to learn new things and improve our cybersecurity at not only our bank but in the whole banking industry in Kenya.
My name is Bett. I am a cybersecurity expert from Dimension Data, and my role really is to help customers to achieve and execute the security vision laid out either in policy or a certain vision or a strategy. And joining together with KIB in this forum, it has been very instrumental. Number one, because KIB sits as the central pillar in an industry that is highly adapting technology at a very fast pace, and not just adapting technology, the service that they deliver is around transactions, facilitating the growth of the economy. Now, we thought that it was good to have this forum together alongside other industry players so that we can have a collective mind share of how do we, as the technology practitioners, together with KIB, which is the key pillar in guiding the industry and creating awareness and education, to deliver a common vision, because the financial sector is quickly consolidating because of technology, and we are seeing a lot of service integrations, and all this is facilitated with technology. Now, being able to create a common mind share together with practitioners is very important, and more so in security, because security is a shared responsibility. No one player in the industry can secure themselves, and yet they're interoperating with others and behave like an island. So we must have a common shared understanding, set the baseline of how do we progress further. And what this will mean is, as an industry and as a country, we'll have a stronger presence in the financial sector, so to speak, but not only to have a good, strong business, but at the same time we want to have a secure and risk-mitigated kind of environment, so that when we start to step outside and interact with other players in the globe, in the region, we want, together with KIB, to be seen as a leader, to be seen as visionaries. Now, the Naivasha conference is all about mindshare. It's all about awareness. We want to exchange ideas, because as technology providers, Dimension Data knows the tech, but as technology users, we want to hear from the financial industry. We want to share that knowledge and build a common context so that we execute one vision, and really to secure the transactional environment. The financial industry is driven a lot by trust. Now, the trust is being digitized. We also need to enforce the confidence from a digital perspective, and that's really what Dimension Data is trying to achieve, together with KIB as our very strong partner. And we believe the combined effort of these two voices is going to really shape the industry in a secure way, and lead to further economic growth.
For more information about the Cybersecurity Conference happening this October in Naivasha, kindly visit our website www.kib.co.k. You can also contact us on 07006314333 or 07541111386. You could also make your inquiry by sending us an email to info@kib.co.k or thebanker@kib.co.k.